Gemini 2.5 Pro versus ChatGPT o3. Who is the winner? Today we're going to be testing out a bunch of prompts and seeing which one gives the best outputs. Now, o3 has just been released this week. Gemini came out last month. A lot of people are already saying that Gemini is the GOAT of coding. We'll test that out today and just see, okay, who's winning, who's the best, which one gives us the best outputs in real time live. So let's get straight into this. Now, if you're wondering, okay, how do the benchmarks compare, for example? We'll run through these in a second. This is an amazing website, by the way, docsbot.ai, and you can compare both models. Obviously, Gemini 2.5 Pro comes from Google, and you've got o3 that comes directly from OpenAI. Now, if we compare the stats right here, side by side, you can see for the input context window, o3 allows 200k tokens, which is significantly less than Gemini 2.5's Pro tokens, which apparently is also going to be introducing 2 million soon, which is pretty insane when you think about it. In terms of maximum output tokens, 64k for Gemini 2.5 versus 100k. Open source, obviously both models are not open source. And then the release date when the model was first released. So this just came out a few days ago on April the 16th. And on March the 25th, 25 days ago, Google Gemini came out. The knowledge cutoff date is quite significant too. So you can see here, o3 cut off at May the 31st, whereas Gemini's cutoff date is January 2025. However, you can, for example, inside ChatGPT, just enable search, and then it can search in real time based on what just happened, all right? So you can connect o3 to the internet using that method. In terms of API providers, you can get these on the OpenAI API, but you can also get them on OpenRouter as well. We'll be testing how it performs in terms of the API, but also directly inside the chat here. And then pricing comparison, this is a huge difference. So in terms of input tokens, right, the cost per million tokens from o3 is $10 per million tokens, which is way more expensive, almost 10 times more expensive than Gemini 2.5 Pro. And the output is $40 per million tokens versus $10 per million tokens from 2.5 Pro. So big difference in the token costs here. You can also see the benchmark comparison. Maybe we'll show that in a second, but I don't want to bore you to death with statistics. So let's get straight into testing out which one performs best in terms of creating stuff. So we're going to be testing stuff like games, science, one-page websites, SEO prompts, tools, and full websites as well today, and just breaking down these bad boys and seeing which one performs the best. By the way, all these prompts, tips, workflows, etc. are inside the AI Profit Boardroom, the one and only, link in the comments description. So let's get straight into this. What we're going to do is we're going to plug in this basic prompt, which is just make me a captivating, endless runner game, key instructions on the screen, blah, blah, blah. I like pixelated dinosaurs and interesting backgrounds. In fact, we're not going to use that. We're going to get straight into something else, which is creating a self-playing soccer game. All right. So let's get straight into that. We'll do the same inside both, inside o3 as well. And we can see how they perform. Now, one of the first things you're probably going to notice here is that from what I've seen, I don't want to say anything too early, actually. I'm just going to let this see how it rolls out. We'll see how it performs. But from what I've seen so far, o3 seems to be faster, but we'll see how they perform. All right. So we're getting the P5.js code back from both of them right here. So let's see what we get. And then we'll run that through the P5.js web editor, and we'll compare them side by side in a sec as well. All right, here we go. So we got the code back from Gemini Pro Advanced. Let's copy that, and we'll test it out inside P5.js. Hit play. And we have ourselves playing soccer game. It reminds me of Football Manager back in the day, but it seems to be repeating the same loop over and over again. Let's see what happens next. Oh, the Blues are absolutely destroying them. But it's a bit weird. You know, if you look at the way it's simulated, it's like they all just gather together in a weird block, which is quite strange. Now let's compare the output from 03. All right, so this is the output from Gemini, and then let's grab the output from ChatGPT 03. There's not even a goal. Look at that. There's no net for this is really weird. So if you look at the, let's stop that and I'll play it again. You see how there's no net on this side for the football match? And also it seems super buggy, like where's the red team gone? It's only blues now. So, I mean, if I had to compare them side by side, I'm going to say, and this is ChatGPT's output, for sure, Gemini 2.5 Pro wins by a long, long way there. And a lot of people saying, you know, from their test as well, this is not just my opinion, but a lot of people saying from 2.5 Pro, it's the best of tested for coding and analyzing, just in general. Flash, if you've not tested it before, so 2.5 Flash just came out yesterday. If you've not tested that before, then I would definitely recommend checking out my video from yesterday about it. Honestly, I was very underwhelmed. I don't want to hype it up and BS you and tell you it's the best thing since sliced bread and fish and chips if it's not. And it certainly isn't, mate. So I'm not going to use 2.5 Flash again, I think. It didn't impress me at all. All right, so let's keep going through now. So you can see here so far, and I'll make a little list of this. If we put this on Google Docs. So, in fact, we'll do this on a cheeky Google Sheet so it just looks a bit better. All right, if we had to compare him, who's the winner for the football test, the football simulator game? By far, it is Gemini 2.5 Pro. All right, so we've got the winner for the first test. And we'll put test number here. Look at this beautiful spreadsheet. This is years of spreadsheets paying off right here. Let's delete that. Pop those in. So test number uno, we have got the football simulator game and Gemini 2.5 Pro won by a long way right there. You can see it with UI. Let's keep going now. So we're going to test out creating a 3D car simulator. All right. So let's plug these in. We'll start a new chat just to get it rolling and remove the context. Let's see what we get. Now, the one thing that I would say is a caveat to this is like we're using these prompts, right? But depending on which AI you use the most, there is a clear winner for self-coaching, right? So if you need to help making business decisions, if you ever coach yourself, like for me, I do a lot of reflecting and journaling and that sort of thing. ChatGPT is amazing, particularly O3, for getting like really good advice based on what it knows about you, right? So for example, if I go into ChatGPT O3 and I'm like, knowing what you know about me, right? Because it remembers pretty much every conversation we've had. Give me some advice or tell me something I don't know, or for example, help me answer this question on you know, what do I need to eliminate to move further on my goals, etc. O3 is almost AGI level for that. I would say it's absolutely amazing for that. I'm not going to show it because it's super personal and it's going to be super personalized to me, but I will say that for self-coaching, O3 wins hands down. But maybe we'll pull that up in a second, but I'll try and keep it like private and that sort of thing, right? So let's copy that, and this is from O3 for the second test, and the second test is the car game. All right, car game. So let's see what we get back. We're going to run the output from ChatGPT 03 first. So let's see what we got here. And that is doing it inside HTML. So I'll run it through LiveWeave, not P5JS. Here we go. And we have a blue screen. Honestly, I think I tested this a couple of days ago and it gave us a way better output. But from what I can see, that is terrible. Absolutely terrible. All right. That is giving us nothing. Nothing. All right, so let's go back to Gemini 2.5 Pro. I want to see, is this giving us, maybe this is in P5.js. I just need to test this out. No, it's not working in P5.js. All right. So let's go back to Gemini. Gemini says it can't help us assist on that, but why is it stopped there? It's failed the test. I'm going to give Pro another sort of just another opportunity, because for some reason it got confused there. And I'll run it through AI Studio instead, because it seemed to get confused inside the chat. Let's see what we get back. A lot of people saying it's good that Google is the best. I'm interested to know more on that. There's some people prefer Google over ChatGPT and OpenAI. I'd be interested to know more on that. For me, like ChatGPT and OpenAI in general, it does get a lot of hate. A lot of people hate on them. So I'm interested to know why that is. So let's see, we've got the HTML running right now. The other thing is as well, right? Like if you're using Google products a lot, like Google Drive, Gmail, etc., then you can imagine as these models get more advanced, you're going to be more and more in the ecosystem. Kind of like, for example, the iPhone and the Mac and how that all syncs up. It's the same with the Google ecosystem, right? If you run your business on Google, then it's going to be much easier to integrate that. It's kind of like a soft thing I can't measure in the tests, but yeah, I would say for sure, like that's going to help, and that's only going to advance more and more over the time. All right, so here's what ChatGPT gave us. ChatGPT 03, it gave us the most advanced OpenAI model in the world. Now here's what Gemini 2.5 Pro gave us, right? A million times better. All right, so let's see what we got here. Oh, it's just incredible, isn't it? Look at that. We're flying through. We're roaming around. We're having a great time. It must be a Tesla. Those buttons don't work, but I'll let them off because the game actually works unlike ChatGPT's, all right? And 3D graphics are not bad at all with that little train going around, roaming around. You can't argue with that. That goes pretty far back as well, doesn't it? You got a nice little circular train route right here. Beautiful. Let's try and find the train. Whoosh. That is amazing, to be fair. Like, look at the landscape. It's just incredible. We're just zooming around, and we literally built that in one single prompt. I mean, how good could you make that game if you actually spent a bit of time on it? So, for sure, Gemini 2.5 Pro is just absolutely steaming ahead right now. And 03 is struggling, my friends. So let's try something else now. We've tested the game prompts. I'm not going to do too many more games because that's not what makes you money in life, right? What we're going to do next is we're going to try and create a one-page website. So I'm going to say generate a high converting landing page, blah, 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 from SEO agency. I'm going to see if they can actually research information about me as well, but we'll come on to that in a second. So if I put canvas on right here, we'll put the canvas here. And we'll see research Julian Goldie and his agency, then generate a high converting landing page for his SEO agency, blah, blah, blah. All right. We'll do that. And we'll do the same inside ChatGPT 03, which so far has let us down quite considerably. but we'll give it another cheeky whirl. The good thing about this is I can search the web, right? So I can search the web with ChatGPT 03, which is probably going to make the outputs better, but we'll test that in a sec. We can do grounding with Google search as well. So we can use Google search inside here. So I'll do that inside AI Studio. I'll use Google search as well to use the same prompt and see what we get back in a sec. I like the fact as well that ChatGPT brings up the canvas, so you can integrate the search with the canvas. I don't know if you get that inside. I'm pretty sure. Let's have a look. I'm pretty sure, like Google Gemini Advanced inside the chat here, where you get the canvas option, you can't connect to Google search, as far as I'm aware. Like it's just using its knowledge already. If we go inside AI Studio, which is using Gemini 2.5 Pro as well, it should be able to research Google. You can see here we're grounding with Google search, and then we'll see what we get back. Some people are saying that the Grok would beat Gemini 2.5 Pro. And to that, I would say check out my video comparing Grok and all the other models versus Gemini 2.5 Pro. Personally, I wasn't impressed. Like the first day I started using Grok, it was amazing. And then after that, it seemed to get dialed down. Like it just didn't give me the same outputs as that. So I wasn't that impressed. I just don't use Grok anymore for that reason. Compared to Gemini 2.5 Pro and ChatGPT, I just don't think you get the same outputs. So can we run this? I don't think we can on the canvas, but we'll run this inside Live Weave anyway and see what we get back. So let's plug that in. Here's the landing page. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. Let's see if it's got any information about me. It's got a little bit of information, but it's still quite generic. Organic growth, authoritative link building, technical SEO, content, blah, blah, blah. It's still quite generic information, right? That it's fine. To be honest, you're going to get much better outputs from something like GenSpark or Manus if you do this job, but it's not bad. It's not bad. Let's have a look what we got back from ChatGPT 03. So let's click on preview, see what we got. We'll allow that. We'll allow that. I would say both of them were pretty poor there. I mean, these are just, I'm not going to hype this up and tell you like this is amazing. This is super basic. Look at that. I'm a little bit disappointed. We'll come on to coding with the API. Maybe that will give us better outputs inside root code or client in a second. But these are not great. These are not great. And I think that's actually, unless I'm, yeah, I think that's a made up hallucinated testimonial as well. I don't think that's a real testimonial as far as I'm aware. We have a lot of testimonials, so it's hard to keep track, but that seems totally misleading. I mean, if I'm going to compare them, I'm going to say that the Gemini 2.5 Pro created a much better landing page. Like it's longer, it's better designed. The testimonials are actually real. For example, like this one and this one. This one too. It's using real case studies. And the design is much better. Plus, there's more content on the page, right? If we have a look at the ChatGPT output, super basic. Doesn't look great. You would never publish that, right? You're never in a million years. So I'm going to go with Gemini 2.5 Pro again, all right? And you can see here, Gemini 2.5 Pro is absolutely crushing ChatGPT on all of these benchmarks so far, which is pretty wild. Let's go on to the next task. I've never actually seen a test this unanimous. Like, it's unbelievable. So let's come on to another one. We're going to say, okay, create a beautifully designed snow day calculator inside both of these. And we'll use Gemini 2.5 Pro inside Canvas. By the way, someone was asking me yesterday on the live stream, like, how do you get the preview on Gemini? So if you're using Gemini Advanced, which is a paid version, and then you click Canvas over here, then you can start using the Canvas inside 2.5 Pro. It will give you an actual preview. But I mean, it's so far from what I can see, like Gemini 2.5 Pro is just absolutely destroying ChatGPT o3, which is blowing my mind because, you know, this came out nearly a month ago. So we've got the snow day calculator back from ChatGPT o3. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. I mean, it works. Let's test this out. Need to find a US zip code right here. All right, let's take that one. It's not working, is it? I'm clicking calculator here, but nothing is working. All right, let's check out Gemini 2.5 Pro. So, I mean, straight away, you can see from the UI, right? Look at this. You see how there's like a nice little icon here for the snow day calculator, and there's like estimate the likelihood of a snow day. Like the content itself is written much nicer. This calculator actually doesn't work from ChatGPT, so I've tested clicking calculate. Nothing happens. Now let's go over to Gemini. The writing is way more humanized in terms of how it's written. And then we'll put the form in here. Hopefully it works. Calculate probability actually works. All right. And it's actually like, look at the way that it's written. Get the sleds ready. A snow day is looking very likely. If you compare that to this one, like number one, it doesn't work. But number two, like the content is really sort of just AI. It feels like AI. There's no life in it, right? And then if you look at the way the heading is designed, just little touches like the icons here make the Gemini Pro calculator a lot better. So snow day calculator, Gemini 2.5 Pro is just absolutely destroying ChatGPT. It's absolutely redonkulous. All right, by the way, if you want all these prompts, just get them inside the AI Profit Boardroom. This also comes with a community focused on just making more money and saving time with AI based on how we've implemented all our systems. So a lot of people talk about using AI. They talk about how to scale with AI, but there's nothing practical in that. Whereas, for example, we've actually taken all the systems that we've used to grow and scale our business. For example, we reach millions of people on YouTube each month. We reach millions of people on Twitter each month. We have a big email list, etc. And we've automated all this stuff using AI and all the systems right here in the crash course. So if you want to steal our best systems, get them inside the AI Profit Boardroom, along with weekly Q&A calls, all our best SOPs, and an amazing community of people. You can have 670 members here. Any questions you have about AI, and then we're happy to help you. Like you can see inside the community, everything is getting an answer quickly. All right. So let's jump straight into this, and we'll get back in the reins here. What we're going to test next. So let's pull this up. What we're going to do next is we're going to try and create like a 5-page website. This might take a little bit longer to test out. So we're going to go inside Visual Studio Code over here. And I'll use root code for doing this. All right. And then we're going to go inside the settings and we'll select Gemini 2.5 Pro to begin with and just test this out. All right. I'll use the paid version just so that we don't run out of tokens, but you can use the free version on OpenRouter. That's another thing here is like you can actually code for free with Gemini 2.5 Pro, whereas you can't use ChatGPT for free, right? Unless you were rinsing the trials that I was telling you about last week for Optimus Alpha. So we're going to say, okay, create a 5-page website for Julian Goldie's SEO agency, blah, blah, blah. We'll run that through root code here and we'll see what we get back. Now, if you're choosing between using the chat interface or you're using like Recode and Visual Studio Code, by the way, I have recipes and all this stuff below, then what you're going to find is that for creating bigger projects, this is much better to use inside Visual Studio Code. However, if you want to create like just a one-page landing page or a quick calculator, etc., then it'd be much better to use use the chat interface directly. It's going to be quicker, it's going to be easier, you're going to be messing around less, etc. Now, just whilst we're waiting for that to load, you might be wondering, okay, what are like the technical benchmark comparisons, like in terms of performance metrics? So if we have a look here, global MMLU is not available for O3, but for Gemini 2.5 Pro, it is 89.8%. You can see for Diamond Science, Gemini 2.5 Pro is just outperforming O3. For competition maths and AMY tests, Gemini 2.5 Pro. Humanities last exam, O3 is winning. SWE benchmarks, so software engineering capabilities. O3 is outperforming Gemini 2.5 Pro, but I don't see that in my own tests. And then MMMU, so massive multitask, multimodal understanding. They're kind of tied, but O3 is beating it by about 1.2%. But again, honestly, I don't trust these benchmarks. I only trust my own tests. I always think that's the best way. So let's see what we get back from 2.5 Pro right now. Pretty bad website, to be honest with you, but it works. I mean, it's super basic. You'd have to spend a lot more time just coding out, building out. But you can see here it does actually work. It has created like a 5-page website. You need to go back and forth with Gemini 2.5 Pro. I would give that a 5 out of 10. All right, as a one-shot sort of prompt. Let's run the same thing now using O3 directly. So we're going to take the same prompt, and then we're going to start a new task. We'll go inside the settings and switch over to O3. All right, OpenAI O3. Make sure you don't select the mini model. You want to be using O3, which is the latest model here. And then we'll go inside here and we'll give exactly the same prompt to ChatGPT O3. See what we get back. And we're getting an error right there. That is not ideal, mate. What's going on here, sunshine? All right, maybe we'll switch to OpenAI directly. Just gonna have. Oh, look at that. Your organization must be verified to use this model O3. All right, so it's not working on OpenRouter, and it's not working. Oh, I'll try and change. Let's see if we can. No, we can't. OpenAI O3 is not working in Recode. That is so weird. Let me try Client instead. Not a great start there. Let's switch over to Client. But again, you see, okay, what's working, what's not here. So Gemini 2.5 Pro worked perfectly inside OpenRouter. Let's test that Client. And we'll just grab a new API key from OpenRouter. If you ever need to do that, if you ever need to know how to do that, just log into OpenAI, grab a key, and then you can create a key here. I'm just going to do that in the background in a sec. Run over to Visual Studio Code, plug the new API OpenRouter key here, hit done, and let's retry that. Are you kidding me? O3 is just not working on the API. That's crazy. All right. Well, I mean, that settles it. So 5-page websites, Gemini 2.5 Pro. So, I mean, just to recap here, peeps, this is blowing my mind because I've never seen anything as objective as this. It's kind of weird and feels biased, but it's not. So, test number 1, the football simulator game 2.5 Pro smashed it. Test number 2, the car game Gemini 2.5 Pro. Landing page, guess who? Gemini. Snow day, Gemini. And 5-page website. Open router wasn't working. O3 inside the playground wasn't working for me because I had to verify my business, which means that I can't actually start using the API. Massive problem. That is a full suite, my friends. That is a full house that Gemini has. Crazy stuff. Crazy, crazy stuff. I've never seen that before. I'm absolutely gobsmacked, if that's an actual phrase. All right, I'm not going to do any more full website tests inside root code or anything like that because, it doesn't work. Let's give it one more shot. I'm going to give this one more opportunity to O3. We're going to try and build a retro keyboard here. So let's go back into O3. Kind of feels pointless at this point, but I want to give them a shot. I want to give them a cheeky chance, all right? So we're going to say build a retro synth keyboard in HTML. We'll do the same inside Gemini. And we'll see what we get back, peeps. Here's the code. Let's give it a cheeky whirl. I don't know why it didn't let me test that in Canvas, to be honest with you. But anyway. Let's plug this in. So this is the output from ChatGPT. It's not looking bad. It's not bad. Let's test. Oh, it works perfectly. It definitely makes a noise. Here is the single HTML file. Copy and paste it in the browser. Let me just delete those at the top there. I mean, it is looking pretty retro. We'll just delete the HTML code at the top. There we go. We got the retro synth. Not bad at all, my friends. Not bad at all. Let's check out Gemini now. Oh, I should have tested it in Canvas. Rookie error there. Let me build it again with the Canvas enabled. It's got, yeah, so let's see what we got here. So we got the retro synth keyboard. It works perfectly. We can switch between waveforms and we can change the volume as well. So that's working really nicely. Now let's check out the retro synth. The main thing that I would say here is like the UI is pretty nice on ChatGPT, but there's no volume. There's no switching between waveforms. The keyboard itself looks tiny on the preview, which is weird, like all this black space. I'm going to have to say, my friends, retro synth keyboard, I'm going with Gemini 2.5 Pro. All right. And the reason for that is it's got the waveform UI here. It's a much bigger keyboard preview. You can switch on the volume. Again, 2.5 Pro absolutely smashes it. So overall, you can see who the clear winner is. You can see who I'm going to stick with. I honestly think that just over the last sort of 30 days, Google has really stepped up. Like Gemini 2.5, Gemini Advanced Pro was never something on my radar up to about 30 days ago. So you can see who wins, you can see who the winner is. It's unanimous, absolutely unanimous. So thanks so much for watching. If you want to get a community packed full of people focused on making money, saving time with AI, feel free to get that inside the AI Profit Boarding link in the comments description. Inside the classroom here, you're going to get all my best workflows that I've tried, tested, and proven, and it's way better. On top of that, also, you're going to get a crash course based on everything I've practically implemented into my business right here, so you can steal all my same systems, my best SOPs as well. There's tons of SOPs in there. You can watch back previous Q&A call recordings, plus join the weekly Q&A calls like you can see on the weekly schedule here. And on top of that, you can post inside the community and ask 670 members any questions that you have about AI that you're struggling with. On top of that, if you want to get a free one-to-one SEO strategy session that shows you how to get more leads, traffic, and sales, feel free to get that. Link in the comments and description, and we'll show you how we take websites from 0 to 145,000 business month and generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales and multiplier. On this free SEO acceleration session, you're going to get a custom tailored game plan to generate more lead sales and profits based on what's working for us. And you'll also be able to ask any questions you have one-to-one on the course. So feel free. And I will see you on the next one. Cheers, peeps.